All right, let's just jump right in. What if you could literally rewire your brain? I'm not talking science fiction here. Today, we're diving into a powerful blueprint that's designed to do exactly that, to help you change your thoughts and, fundamentally improve your day-to-day life.
I mean, have you ever felt like your own thoughts are holding you back? We've all been there, right? That one little worry that just spirals and spirals, or that feeling when your motivation just completely vanishes. It honestly feels like your own mind is fighting against what you're trying to do. So what if there was a real, structured way to fix that? Not just, wishful thinking, but an actual blueprint to rewire the connections between your thoughts, feelings, and your actions. Well, that blueprint exists, and we're about to break it all down. Okay, so here's the official name for it, the Cognitive Behavioral Frame of Reference, or CBT-FOR for short. Now, that sounds a bit academic, I know, but all it really is an evidence-based approach from occupational therapy. Its whole job is to systematically connect the dots between what's going on in your head, what you actually do, and how you perform in your everyday life. Okay, Section 1, When Thoughts Disrupt Life. We're talking about how our internal world impacts our daily actions. So how does this whole thing actually work? Well, the CBT-4 is built on this really simple but powerful idea. Our lives are basically one big interconnected system. It breaks it down into 5 key areas that are always, and I mean always, influencing each other. So here they are: thoughts, behaviors, emotion/mood, physiological responses, and your environment. And these 5 things are in a constant dance with each other. Seriously, think about it like this. Let's say you have a negative thought, like, I'm going to bomb this presentation. That triggers an emotion, anxiety, right? Then comes the physiological response. Your heart starts racing. This might lead to a behavior, like putting off working on the presentation, which then changes your environment by creating even more stress. You see that chain reaction? It's wild. A tiny change in just one of these can create this massive ripple effect.
All right, next up, the session blueprint. What actually happens inside one of these sessions? Well, to manage this whole complex system we just talked about, the therapy sessions themselves are incredibly structured. There's a really clear collaborative plan for every single meeting, and it's all designed for maximum effectiveness.
So every session follows this really specific path. You start with a mood check-in. Then you review the past week. And here's a detail I love. You have to talk about the positives too. This isn't just small talk. It's actually part of the process, actively rewiring the brain to notice the good stuff. After that, you set the agenda together. It's a team effort. Then you dive into specific interventions. And this part is absolutely crucial. You develop a concrete action plan for the week ahead. And finally, you wrap up with feedback.
Okay, Section 3, Tools for Changing Thoughts. These are the practical strategies for real-life challenges. That action plan we just mentioned, it's really the heart of the whole process. Therapists have this amazing toolkit of strategies they use to turn these, abstract ideas into tangible, everyday coping skills.
Let's look at a couple of these for managing anxiety. First up, the worry jar. It's so simple, but so effective. You literally write down a worry on a piece of paper, put it in a jar, and close the lid. You're giving that fear a physical boundary. Then there's worry time. This is where you schedule a very specific, limited time, like just 5 minutes a day, to actually sit down and deal with your worries. The idea is to keep them from spilling over and ruining the rest of your day.
And trust me, the toolkit is packed. You've got things like breathing beads to help regulate your breathing and just calm down. Activity diaries, where you journal credit daily. Basically, you write down your accomplishments, no matter how small. Then there are things like facts for and against charts to challenge those unhelpful thoughts. The whole point of all these tools is to help you build your own personal library of evidence, proof that you are capable and that things usually turn out way better than you think they will.
All right, next section, measuring what matters. This is all about how therapists track progress. So you might be wondering, how do you actually know if any of this stuff is working? That's where objective measurement comes in. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about proving real, measurable change.
So one of the key tools for this is the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure, or COPM. It looks at 2 main things: how well you're performing in different areas of your life, like personal care, productivity, and socializing, and, just as importantly, how satisfied you are with that performance. It's all on a 1 to 10 scale, and generally, a score below 5 is a good sign that some support could be really helpful.
And here's the magic number. The goal for a clinically significant improvement is a 2-point jump on that COPM scale. That +2 It's not just a number on a page. It represents a real, meaningful, honest-to-goodness improvement in someone's daily life. It's huge.
Okay, moving on to mapping the progress. Let's talk about the art of effective documentation. This kind of measurement is also absolutely vital for, well, the paperwork. To justify treatment and get it covered by insurance, you can't just say someone feels better. Progress has to be clearly and objectively mapped out.
You know, there's this fantastic analogy for this. Applying the CBT-FOR in documentation is like being a cartographer, a map maker. Insurance companies, they don't really need the philosophy behind why you drew the map. They just need a clear, objective map that shows exactly how much ground has been covered. They need to see the journey.
And this means that the official notes, the SOAP notes, have to be strictly focused on function. So a therapist's note isn't going to say my boyfriend broke up with me. Instead, it'll document the impact that event had on function. Things like decreased self-regulation skills or made measurable progress on socialization goals. The personal story is what guides the therapy for sure, but the official record, that's all about mapping the measurable outcomes.
Yeah, to even get services approved, you have to show that a condition is negatively affecting daily occupations. You know, sleep, eating, chores, that kind of thing. And the documentation uses these very specific codes, like R41.844 for an executive function deficit, or R53.83 for fatigue, to create that official link. It's all about justifying the need for OT. Sometimes you even have to get creative and bill under self-care codes if the cognitive ones aren't well reimbursed.
Okay, final section. This is so important, becoming your own therapist, because the ultimate goal here, the end game, is independence. The whole point of the CBT-4R isn't to create a lifelong dependence on a therapist, it's to empower the client to become their own therapist.
So when it's time to finish therapy, the client gets what's called a home maintenance program. And this is way more than just a pat on the back. It's a structured plan for life. It means you keep doing things like journaling credit daily, and you hold a weekly self-therapy session. In that session, you review your own goals, you reflect on your journal, and you create a new action plan for the week ahead. It's all about giving you the tools to continue that cycle of positive change all on your own.
When you boil it all down, this whole framework shows that real, meaningful change is built on small, intentional actions. So, that brings me back to you. What's one small, achievable action you could plan for this week? Just one little thing to move you closer to one of your goals.